So Professor, you'll start, right?
Yes, yes. Me and you. I will start, then ask you to say something. Okay, shall we start, Mr. Patrick?
Yes, Dr. It's recording now. We can start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, good afternoon, good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. And again, we are proud and happy to see you again, guides, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Hope that you spend a nice weekend. Today will be our second round in this module about designing and evaluating assessment. And I know in advance that this subject, actually, it is not easy subject. It is a big challenge by itself to all of us. Let me at the beginning also welcoming my partner, Dr. Richa. She will be also with us today, and she will try to test you, by the way, so be careful from her questions. It is not hard questions, okay, Dr. Richa?
Very easy. Very easy.
Anything you like to start today with?
Good afternoon, everyone. So as we discussed in the last session that we are going to continue to talk about challenges related to teachers and students, and we will also look at the future of assessments. But before we move on to these new topics, we are going to quickly do a review of what we did in the last session. So here is a quiz for you. But before that, let me tell you how to log in to Mentimeter. So Mr. Patrick has posted the details in the chat. You can also use the QR code given here. You can use the QR code. Yeah.
Before you start your quiz, let me just announce that today, inshallah, our discussion will be only for 1.5 hours, and the last 30 minutes will be for the closing session, and will be honored by Dr. Srithi Nayar, the Dean of the College, Art of Science. And our colleagues also will join us. So we'll be happy to hear from you guides and to participate and to give your feedback during our discussion. In advance, we are sorry because we have to run quickly in order to give whatever we plan and prepare. And I know, again, it is not easy subject. It needs more and more and more meetings. Promise that in the future, inshallah, we'll give more workshop and training about the assessment in more details. But for today, 1.5 hour, hopefully that we can cover the main points and the main outlines, trusting your experience and your feedback will also enrich our discussion for today. Dr. Richa.
Yes, so hello everyone. So as I was telling you that this is the code that you can use to log in, or you can use the number code after going to www.menti.com. You know about this already, so let us move on to the quiz. Now, as you know, if you answer the question faster, you are going to get more points. So I'm starting the countdown. You have 9 questions in all on the quiz, and all are objective type questions, true, false, multiple choice. So here we go. Valid assessments are those that yield same result on different days when marked by different assessors, true or false. Time's up. Okay, so 47 said true. It's not valid, it's reliable. Reliable
Yes.
assessments are those assessments which yield the same result. Okay, let's see who got it right. Oh, so Mr. Patrick got maximum points. Okay, fastest.
Good,
Let's go.
Patrick.
Yeah, let's go on to the next question. I'm starting the countdown. You'll get 15 seconds to answer this again. Try to be fast. Holistic scale is considered more reliable than analytic rubric. True or false? Five seconds. False. Well done. Yes.
Well done. Great.
Well done. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one. But let's see who got maximum points on this one. Okay. So we have Kerry here.
Kerry.
Well done. Well done.
Great.
Oh, but yeah, it's changing. So Zlatan. Okay. Well done. Well done for maximum points. Let's go on to the third question. Analytic scale is easier and faster to use than holistic scale. Time's up. Oh. False. Yes. Remember, we discussed how analytic scale has several criteria. That is why it's more time consuming. Though it's more reliable, it's difficult and more time consuming. Okay, so let us look at the scores. Kerry again. Well done.
Yes, excellent.
Okay, question number 4. Holistic scale masks an uneven profile. True or false? Time's up. True. Well done.
Yes. Great.
Very good. Very good. Let's look at the scores now.
Kerry.
Again. Whoa.
Good. Excellent.
Very good. Okay, let's move on to the next question and see whether Kerry would be able to maintain the score.
Yes.
Okay, question 5. I'll start the countdown now. Holistic scale is more useful when several teachers are grading the same test. True or false? Time's up. True. Well, remember we discussed that it's the analytical scale which takes more time, but it's more reliable. More reliable means it's when several raters are grading the test, the score is similar, so it's more reliable. So false. Okay, let's look at the scores till now. Looks like it's Kerry again. Well done.
Great.
Okay, no, it's changing. No, it's the same. Very good. Okay, let's move on to our question 6. Maslow's hammer refers to a cognitive bias, a teaching methodology, students' reaction, or a hammering tool. Time's up. Teaching methodology.
Methodology, no, it's for cognitive bias.
It's a cognitive bias, remember, which leads to over-reliance on a certain tool of assessment you don't want to change. So remember that quote that if the only tool you have is a hammer, you treat everything as if it's a nail. So that cognitive bias. Okay, let's look at the scores now. All right, let's look at the final scores.
Carrie.
Carrie again, okay. So, number 7. Assessment for learning happens best through norm reference test, summative assessments, convergent assessments, or portfolios and coursework.
Remember, assessment for learning.
Time's up. Yay.
Great.
Well done. Okay,
Yes.
let's look at the scores now. Let's see where Carrie is. All right, so Carrie still the first, but the second one is the fastest. And we have several names. Okay, Amrita is rising up, looks like. Okay, let's move on to our question 8. So we have 2 questions left. Start countdown. The primary stakeholders of assessments are easy.
Guess, teachers, students, school and colleges, policy makers.
Well done.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
The primary, yes.
Yeah.
Other are important, but the primary for students, yes.
Yes, yeah. Yes, exactly.
Carrie again.
The fastest was someone else, but
Now
30.
change.
Number 30. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All of you need to step up. We have the last question here on screen now. Question 9, and the countdown starts. If Mariam takes a test in February and Khalid takes that test in March, the percentile ranking scores would be within different reference groups. So what kind of a test is it? Criterion referenced or norm referenced?
Or norm.
3, 2, 1.
1.
Time's up. Oh, norm reference.
Well, it is norm, yes.
Yeah, because look at the word percentile ranking. You don't have percentile in criterion reference tests.
Yes.
Only norm reference tests. So let's look at the final scores. Number 30. Yay, well done. Congratulations, number 30.
Thank you. Great, good.
Yay.
All of you. Thank you so much.
Well done. Well done, all of you. Well done. And thank you.
Some colleagues ask about the code. I think it is sent already many times.
In the chat. It's
please,
there in the
Dr.
chat.
Richa, to remind them.
Yes, so you can go to www.menti.com and you can use the code that is given here, 231464. So the code is also there in chat. You can check chat for the code. All right, so here we have a quotation. The human brain is amazing. It functions 24 hours a day from the time we were born and only stops when we take exams. So what is the quote talking about? Who is the subject here? Whose brain stops working? Okay, so this leads us to our students. And in our presentation today, we are going to begin with challenges that our students face in assessments. So we are going to look at assessment challenges. And I want all of you to give us your feedback here. Let's brainstorm together and let's see what are the most common assessment challenges that our students face. And Professor.
Okay, Dr. Richa, just 1 second, just mentioned some colleagues sent here that okay. Students' brain, yes, and the reason behind showing this code actually just to keep in our mind, yes, we are not teaching only persons or bodies, we are working brains, and yes. The art of designing assessment and evaluation to connect between what happens in the brain during the exam, before and after.
Exactly.
Keep this in your mind, teachers, you will know and understand how much important to design based on the brain. I mean,
that's very important.
Evaluation and assessment according or based on the brain process as connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for that. So would you like to comment on what our participants have stated here? What are the most common assessment challenges?
Yes. These are very interesting and almost cover the main challenges in our presentation, in our
anxiety.
So anxiety, time management, stress, lack of preparation, time again, comprehension, and again, maybe family also. Competition, sometimes culture level, etc. Maybe some obstacles, panic. Yes, this is very true.
So yes,
these are actually, and in addition, yes, you are right. Who's at the technological issues, especially nowadays when we teach now and using online and distance learning, this might be cause some or add some more difficulties or challenges to assessment itself, to the way we design and the way we present and the way also we deliver and then we correct. So yes, these are very interesting and almost cover the main challenges, but we need Dr. Richa to classify them to 3 categories. Last time we mentioned to the assessment related challenges. Today we'll continue and refer some challenges to students and teachers, and then we can find some solutions in order to deal with these challenges. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah, and thank you, participants, for your nice feedback. I can see that stress and time management are at the top. So a quick brainstorm will tell us that there are several challenges that our students face, like examination stress, anxiety, panic, as you mentioned. You have family and social pressure, which creates more anxiety. Managing commitments and balancing work, school, and family for adult learners is a big challenge. Also nowadays in online exams, if you ask your students to turn on the camera, and their mics, you'd hear that there's a lot of background noise. So all those distractions, channel breakdown, sometimes there's no internet, sometimes the laptop breaks down, sometimes the program is not running. All this also creates a lot of stress and distractions. Now, another challenge is motivation, that is students don't apply themselves and they don't give their best. So when they don't give their best, the assessments don't mean a lot as much as they should. So that motivation is something very important. And then we have one challenge which is specific to English language learners in English medium instruction settings. So if students who are taking exams through English medium instruction are learners of language, they have additional challenge which is related to extrinsic cognitive load. We know that when our students take a task or when they do an assessment, there are 2 types of cognitive loads. One is intrinsic, which is related to the task itself, how difficult the task is. And the other is extrinsic cognitive load, which is related to the way the task is presented. So I have those long instructions and my students are unable to follow those instructions. Then the extrinsic cognitive load overpowers the intrinsic cognitive load of the task. So that is an additional challenge, which we'll discuss later as we move on. So there is this report which was published by JISC, which is Joint Information Systems Committee in the UK. It's a non-profit organization. And they published this report in which they mentioned 5 principles and 5 targets for assessments in 2025, which is very close to the theme of our certificate, Future of Assessments 2030. So what are these 5 principles? Let us look at these 5 principles quickly. The first one is authentic assessment. That's principle 1 and target 1. Second is accessible assessment. Third is appropriately automated assessment. Fourth is continuous assessment. And fifth is secure assessment. So we are going to go one by one, and we are going to look into all these 5 and see how we can incorporate these principles in our assessments and how we can use technology to assist us in this endeavor. So interestingly, this was a survey done by the same body, JISC, and they found that only 42% of higher education students believe that their course prepares them for digital workplace. So not even 1 in 2 agreed that the courses we teach prepare our students for the future workplace. And when further studies were done, it was found that the major area of dissatisfaction was assessment and feedback. So we really need to work on that to make our assessments relevant for our students. So first one, authentic assessment. This is something that we did in the last webinar. Professor, would you like to comment on authentic assessment?
Well, if you allow me, just back again to these 5 principles to face and to deal with the challenges. As I mentioned many times, assessment by itself, big challenge. And required from us as a teachers to be aware about all the details and the factors. I mean, the variables also affect the students' performance before and after. And while we prepare and design our examination or our test, we need to understand that we are not again evaluating or do assessment just to measure or to evaluate what students do or act in the classroom. And this is the big challenge. Authentic assessment as authentic learning or assessment in general referred to measuring and evaluating the students' understanding and interacting with the real life situation. This is very important. So imagine how much it is not easy actually when I am as a teacher come and start write my or prepare for my test. Preparing learners for meeting the market needs, for example, and this is the main concern, the main condition for the future good assessment, to be aligned with the market. This is very important. So what included in the curriculum should be covered in the assessment and examination, connected directly with the needs. Again, as we mentioned last time, for the future, for the college, for the choices, for the career. This is actually very important as principle to keep in our mind. So how we can face this challenge? I think now your time to think and what kind of like questions or tasks or projects you want to use in order to measure and to be sure that you are using the authentic assessment as important to face. Testing is a realistic and contextualized manner which feel natural to students. Actually, testing something caused phobia, as you know all, and caused a lot of difficulties. And how we can make this again something part of the learning, another big challenge. You need to change in your tools, use different and multi type of questions or situations or measures, etc. You need to ask your students, for example, to develop their own work by themselves, which is lead us later to talk about how and can students control their assessment and control their learning as well. Dr. Richa.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your input. So we all know that our assessments need to be authentic, and our students need to know that what they are doing by way of assessment is going to be useful. So relevance needs to be made clear. Now we have some examples, like we can ask them to develop websites or set up online profiles, shoot and edit videos, use social media. These are the tasks that they do in real life. So I want you to tell us what are the type of assessments that could be considered authentic. What kind of authentic assessments could you design for your students in your classes?
Yes.
So quickly, if you can let us know a bit about it. Okay, I think this is a point with which we ended our last
case
discussion.
studies. Yes,
Yes.
great. Related real life topics. Yes, good.
Role playing.
Scenarios. Yes, great idea. Role playing, including
Project based.
Yes, this is very true. Projects related to real life problems again. Project based, one of the best actually. Yes, projects again. Case study, very, very interesting and very important case study. This will lead the students really to connect what they learn to the real cases in life. You are right. Practical assessment project, very interesting term. Describe the project should be practical and implement and apply the knowledge in the real life situation. Problem solving, yes. Projects, again, case study. Problem solving, yes. Independent project from students, yes. This means lead to creativity, yes, and innovations. Great. Development assessment, yes, very true. Projects, again, presentations by itself, very important tool and very interesting. Improve the communication, the collaboration. Experiments, I like this, very, very important. Maybe experiments not limits to science, right, Dr. Richa? It might be applied other.
Yes, in social, yeah, in any humanities you can have, in social sciences.
Yes.
In any field you can have.
Great.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, few of you mentioned project-based assessments, which was great, and all the other ideas were very relevant. So we are going to watch this short video about project-based assessments. What are these assessments, and what are the benefits of project-based assessment? So you have to look for answer to this question while you're watching the video. You have to try to figure out what are the benefits of using this kind of assessments. I'm going
as an example for authentic assessment.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
In traditional teaching, the assessment usually comes only from a teacher, but in project-based learning, assessment is multidimensional. So teacher, peers, student self-assessment, maybe outside experts will all contribute to the assessment process.
It takes a look at how well did students understand the content goals, how did they develop perhaps as collaborators or critical thinkers, how were they as communicators who could share their ideas to an audience. A rubric is a traditional tool that teachers use in PBL to help communicate all of these different learning goals and to be really transparent about them with students.
A criteria for success is that your hypothesis is clear and uses the if, then, because format. For this particular experiment, we're going to do one, right, as a group, so I can see where you guys are. And then when you do it individually, you'll have your own hypothesis.
Whether you write a rubric yourself or co-create it with students, it's important to make sure they understand the language. So use student-friendly language, use models, which students can then critique using the rubric to make sure they really have internalized the criteria for good quality work on the project.
This is a tool for them to help drive their own learning and to be in charge of their own learning, because they can see the progress they're making, they can get the support they need from you to get all the way to those learning goals. So as a project-based teacher, you're going to put more of your attention on formative assessment than you are on summative assessment.
So students are critiquing their work along the way, their peers' work, getting feedback from experts and the teacher to make sure their learning is on track, their products are high quality.
And I wanted to ask Tallulah, because she did something really cool. She came to me and she said, I'm done. And what did I ask you to do before you said you were done?
I tested it.
She tested it out to make sure that it worked by sweeping up some dirt.
Yeah.
And then the second thing you did was, I asked you, are you sure, is there anything else you want to change about it, or are you sure you're done? And what did you decide to add or change?
To decorate it.
And why do you think it's important to decorate the broom?
Those formative check-ins give you opportunities to find out exactly what's happening with student learning in the moment. Are students understanding? Are they confused? Have they taken a wrong turn here? And then you can make those adjustments so that they can kind of redirect or get back on track. So project-based teachers use a variety of formative assessment strategies. Exit tickets, for example, may already be familiar to you. These are great, quick, formative assessments at the end of the day to check for student understanding of a particular concept.
This writing for thinking is useful because it gets you to reflect on what we've done today. And I want all of you in your notebooks in section 1 to do the writing for thinking. So it says state the problem. What were your initial ideas about your hypothesis? What was your plan? What did you want to do? How did you want to approach this problem?
If you find that a number of students, either the whole class or a small group, are struggling to understand a particular concept, you can plan some adjustments for the next day. So you're going to find that some formative assessment strategies are really quick, like observing, asking a question. What makes you say that? Making sure students can kind of back up their answers. These things happen in just a split second. Other forms of formative assessment are a little more structured. For example, when it's time for students to give each other peer critique of a work in progress, you might have them use a protocol like the Charette protocol, which is a structured way for students to give each other constructive feedback, to take their product that they're working on, make some enhancements, and make another revision so that it's even better by the end of the project.
Over the time that we've done these charrettes, I've noticed the kids are giving more quality feedback. Just not, well, I liked your project and I think you should change this. But quality feedback on details, like if you do this, then it will change this. And then the kids are able to take that feedback, plus the feedback that I give them as their instructor, to enhance it a little bit more.
There are many more formative assessment strategies you're probably already using, everything from quizzes to hand signals. Think about, how am I going to use these in the context of project-based teaching so that I know where my students are as learners and I know my next move as a project-based teacher.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Interesting video.
Next slide.
Okay. Just before you start discussion about what we watch, let me just answer this question. It seems to be about the things related to the module 5. One of colleagues asked about that she submits her reflection for module 5, and she, if we have another task for today. Actually, no, today we continue and complete the first day, so you can re-edit your answer or your reflection, Ms. Nancy, in order to complete your reflection. So the reflection for the 2 days for all the modules. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Richa.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. So the first video asked what are the benefits of project-based assessment, and the answer we found there was that project-based assessments are good for formative learning, for formative assessment. Now, here is another short video. It is about Ben, who is a math teacher, and his students like him a lot. So you have to watch this video, and then we'll ask you, what do you like best about Ben's assessment style? What are the strengths of his assessment style? So I'm going to play this video for you now.
Okay, great.
I would prefer you to not take the calculator out of the room thinking, I need to use my calculator, and then leave it on the stairs. And then I cry when I'm like, where's the calculator?
Ben is my math teacher. He immediately made the impression on me that he was funny and that he was eager to teach kids and that he really liked his job. He wants you to really reach and get better at math.
My name is Benjamin Mook. I'm a math teacher at School of the Future. I teach the 7th and 8th grade math cycle. What I'd say is an authentic assessment would be something that a teacher could design to hit the skills and the needs of their population. Some of the things that I'm assessing are not necessarily that kids can get to a right answer, but that kids, once they have that right answer, can understand, I got to this right answer because I followed these steps. I'll just pose questions and try to figure out what common mistakes are. And when I can get a whole mess of like 10 or 15 mistakes that it doesn't even matter who made them. Like I could have a kid that's an A student that has like an error in logic on how to do a certain type of problem. And then I can use that and pose that as a question to students later. So I'll take a mistake that they'll make, and then 1 or 2 days later, I'll throw it back into the class. So what I want you to do is this. Based on the information on this sheet, here you go. One of my more favorite types of assessment is to actually give them incorrect work or incorrect answers and have them break down the error in thought process of how could a student who's not as well educated as you, I always throw it out like that, like you would never make this mistake, but somebody did, and how would this mistake happen, and how could you as a classmate or a tutor remediate this mistake? This is Today, they were applying the slope formula to a set of stairs and seeing if they were in compliance with New York City building codes. Okay, this is the math. This is how the math connects to the real life, and that was my goal.
I really like that we get to use our hands in class and that we really get to experience this in a real life situation, and that it's not just here's the formula, it's like here's why the formula works. And, you know, here's something to prove it, or here's how you could think about it.
Things that I'm doing now, I've designed so that during a class period, the student is working and I am able to walk around and kind of coach them through what they are doing. And so I can look and anticipate the problems they're having. So in the classroom, I'm spending a lot less energy. Like I end the school day now not tired.
When we talk about authentic assessment, obviously things can only be as authentic within the four walls of a school. So we want the tasks that they do to challenge them to synthesize things and to approach problems in the way that a scientist does, or a historian does, or a reader does, or a writer does, and to make those tasks and those challenges as authentic as possible.
And 5 minutes from now, we get back to each other.
I think not only Ben, but the rest of the teachers at SOF and at the school, they really do want you to think about it. And their main goal is not to get you to the right answer, but to show how you got there and show that you really put effort into what you were thinking.
The thing that I find most important is that I'm not assessing my kids to be able to give them a B, C, or D. Like that's not gonna help my kids. I would say that the best use of assessment is to figure out where they're at and how I can get them to where I want them to be.
All right, so this is a question for our participants. What do you like best about Ben's style of assessment? Anyone? Is there someone, Professor, who has raised their hand?
Yes, just please to remove the video so we can see their answers or participation. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, anyone like to participate? What
you have to speak? Yeah, raise your hand to speak, and Mr. Patrick will unmute your mic.
Yes, Mr. Patrick, please.
I don't see any hands raised, so it's fine, I think. Professor, would you like to comment on this and we'll move on?
Well, actually, it gives us good example about as we believe in teaching our students using the real life, again, experiences, the same way we need to assess them by giving them real life tasks and assignments. And I think the best this teacher did when he go with the students and do their measures and apply the tools they learn, how to use math in taking some like measures or size or drawing or check the structure or the structure of the school, etc. These are very good examples. They interact with what around them and they apply immediately the concept of math, because we believe too much that, for example, math as a subject cannot be taught or understood without connecting with life. And this is the best way to improve math knowledge or understanding and apply the concepts in these situations. I see
one hand. Yeah, Professor. I see Miss Safa
Yes.
has raised, and also Miss Lavina is here. Hi, Miss Lavina. And Miss Safa is there. She'd like to talk. So yeah, her mic is unmuted.
Please.
Hi, Miss Safa.
Yeah, I think the best thing was his way or his goal was not to know the answer of a student. He was looking to see how his students are learning, the way, how they are learning. This is the best goal for him was.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Safa. Exactly. Like we discussed, assessment for learning and assessment of learning. So he was assessing so that learning could happen, not to pass a judgment on a students. Thank you so much. Ms. Lavina, would you like to add something?
Good evening.
Hi. Hi.
Good evening.
Answer. Actually, what I observed was something which I firmly believe in, and that is to teach them through their mistakes. I simply loved the fact that he looked into the mistakes, and even an A-star student, I also teach IGCSE and the GCE. So I know even the A-star students, the best of our students make mistakes, and the best way to make them remember is to put that mistake back to them in a very nice way. And I like the way in which he did it. It's not like, not judging them, telling, I didn't expect this mistake from you. How dare you make this mistake? This is such a silly mistake. Oh my God, that is so wrong. But instead, to put it back to them in a very nice way so that they will learn from the mistake. That's something which is beautiful going on here.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Lovina, for this comment. I agree totally with you. And this is actually, for me, considered like a big challenge. How teachers able to or can change the mistake, okay, to make it like a positive opportunity for students to use their real knowledge and implement the knowledge in their own way. This is the right thing to do when we come to assess what they learn and how we measure what they learn. Dr. Richa.
Thank you so much. This takes us to our next point. We are talking about future of assessment. So let us see how technology can help us assess our students in manners which are authentic. So we have virtual and augmented reality experiences and methods which can help in creating authentic experiences. Now, the benefit of using virtual or augmented reality assessments is that students get simulations and students get real life experiences which are like real life without the consequences in real world if something goes wrong. So they get to experience without the real world consequences. For example, if you have to assess a topic related to health and safety, it could be done through virtual representations of factories and construction sites. There are several applications which allow students to role play, and this would be very useful in performing arts. For example, students can watch video clips, they can record their videos, they can edit their videos, they can compare the videos to expert responses, they can share their videos with peers, and they can give feedback to each other. So these are some authentic ways of evaluating our students using technology. Now, it has been observed that peer feedback is very important when it comes to formative assessments, and students really learn from their peers. So there are several ways of having peer assessments in our classrooms. We definitely use online collaboration tools like Moodle, Blackboard. We have several Google tools. There are other tools as well, other online tools which help peers give feedback to each other, like PeerWise, Pitch to Peer, Peer Grade, Web PA, and Buddy Check. So these are the ways in which technology can help us in our authentic assessments. Now, I would like all of you to look at this image and tell me how fair is the rater or the assessor there. Is he being very fair, less fair, not fair? How would you look at this? Anyone who would like to speak? Let me see if someone has raised their hands.
Yes, there is some hands.
One hand. I see Ms. Salwa. Okay. Mr. Patrick, would you allow Ms. Salwa to?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, I have already unmuted. Good evening, sir. I think that it's unfair because he is giving the same task to different abilities, different understandings, because we see different sizes and levels and different kinds of people. So I cannot give the same test for all. It's not to fit one size that fits all. Actually, he is unfair if he gives the exam to all these people, different people.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Salwa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This
one
takes
more.
us, yeah. Okay, all right. I think there was one more hand. Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Salwa and then Ms. Dhanya.
Yes, Danya, you can
yeah, hi, good evening.
yourself. Yes, hi.
I like to say that because different persons have different abilities, if they don't have an ability and we judge them with that ability, they are never going to succeed, because the fish can swim only. And like if you ask the fish to climb, it can never happen. So I have the same situation in my class. Like there is one student who can speak very nicely, but in the writing, that one cannot write that much. But if you ask that person, the answers will be perfect. But if I ask the same one to write it, it's going to be hard. Like then it's very super hard for that child. So I think according to their abilities, we need to judge them. And when you give an assessment, it should be fair that they are able to do it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Ms. Dhania. So that's right. We need to have different ways of assessing our
Yes.
students, which takes us to principle 2, which is accessibility. So our assessments need to be accessible and inclusive. We should not leave someone out. And this is important for ethical reasons. Now, by accessibility, we mean that they should be usable by people who have long-term disabilities, even short-term injuries. Remember, Professor, in the last session,
Yes.
one of the participants said that there was a student who forgot her specs at home and how she helped the students. So that is also making your assessment accessible. Mental health challenge or a group which has been historically marginalized, you know?
Yes.
So we have to include all of our students in our assessments, and also probably those who have anxiety issues. So would you like to comment, everyone, on how we can?
Yes, if you allow me also to mention that it is not from only the students to accept or the assessment being acceptable, also from teachers' side by the end of the year, how you that you satisfy response to your students and considering their needs and differentiate them and align between your questions, exams, projects with all students. This is part of the accountability by the end. So both students and teachers need to be or to able to accept. Okay, so we need to prepare, design our assessment to be acceptable for both teachers and students.
That's very important. That's very important. Thank you, Professor. So would you like to tell us, we have Bloom's taxonomy, Professor, would you like to comment on all these?
Great. How can we make our exam inclusive? Yes, Bloom taxonomy, this is the important resource.
Different levels, yeah.
Differentiation, another thing, you are right. Differentiating according to levels and abilities. Active learning, again, differentiated, one more, yes. Consider varying methods of submission of work. Yes, you are right. Let me also add another important fact here, that understanding the student's background, because one of the big challenges, as you know, Dr. Rich, we face is how to satisfy families and parents. Of course, we are not the assessment for parents, but we need to consider them, because by the end they put pressure, add stress to their kids, and this stress reflect on our work. As we need to be carefully about, or to consider this, like how to satisfy also parents and families. Of course, this
we have to include them as well.
Yeah, right. We are not testing them, but we need to be sure
include
that
them.
we can somehow, in order to remove this stress from our students. Yes.
And also those are secondary stakeholders, not the primary, but they are also stakeholders in the assessment process. So we need to understand their needs as well. Thank you so much.
Great. Yes, I see here that yes, the
differentiation is the main point.
The same, yes, knowledge, skills, differentiation.
Very good.
Including both oral and written questions. Yes, you are right. Differentiating
nice.
again. Yes, thank you. Great.
All right. So now, how can we use technology? Again, we are talking about future of assessment. So we need to go back to technology and see how technology can assist in making our assessments accessible. So I think a few things that we have been using for quite a few years now is changing font size and color for students who are visually impaired or who are dyslexic. We can also convert voice to text, text to voice. These days we have dictate tool in MS Word, you know, so we don't have to type. Like if someone has visual challenges or impairments, they can just dictate and it'll get typed. So we have all these tools, but we need to bring in more. And also we need to understand that students with anxiety also need to be included. Now, this is not a big thing that we see as some big challenge, but most of our students suffer from anxiety. And if we ask them, okay, come and make a presentation for 20 marks, they are going to end up not saying anything. They might suffer from panic attack, or they might get anxious. Now, if our purpose is to assess for learning, then we must give them an opportunity to grow from where they are to reach the point where we want them to be. So this is something which is done at a university, and we at Abu Dhabi University also do this sometimes. We allow our students to video record themselves presenting so that they can edit their videos as many times as they want. And once they're happy with the results, they can submit it. So what they are doing through the process is they're developing the skills which are necessary for face-to-face presentation, and they also develop confidence. So we are not judging them, we are helping them grow through our assessments. So technology could be used. Instead of coming in front of us and presenting, they're using video recording tools to do this, and editing tools.
Okay, if you allow me, before you go to the next point, Dr.
Yes, Professor,
I got a question here, and this is very, very smart question. Actually, the question is, how can we differentiate assessment when the scale is the same? Yes, this is another big challenge, actually, I agree with you, but we are not going to answer direct because this will include a new reflection. Imagine that you assigned, okay, to prepare assessment, and you have 3 or 4 or 5 styles of learning, different background, levels of the students, how you can differentiate by using different like standards to be aligned or to match these different styles. We are going to answer the question in our discussion. Okay, Dr. Richa.
Thank you so much. Yes, we will definitely include that. We'll talk about different types of assessments, not just one single type of assessment. We'll go to that point in a while. Thank you so much, Professor. So, okay,
Yes.
Now we are talking about inclusion. We are talking about differentiation. So here is a question which is very relevant to all our settings, I believe. What are the challenges that English language learners face in our classrooms? I think we discussed this point earlier related to extrinsic cognitive load and intrinsic cognitive load. So it's something related to that. Vocabs, translation. Thank you for that. Yes. So these are the challenges. They can't understand the question sometimes.
Yes.
So the question is in English. They are English language learners who need to be tested on content, not on language. But the way we word our question might be difficult for them. So understanding the question itself, thank you for that. Reading, vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, translation, vocabulary. So the most common, the motive here is vocabulary. Yes, we need to use words in our questions which are easy to understand. And that ways we might create assessments which are inclusive. Professor, do you have any comments on?
Yes, agree with you totally. You are the expert in English language, but let me also add some important facts about this subject specifically, as written here, the accent, the way they speak, and sometimes again, the way our students use their brain in translate from English to Arabic, for example, or to another language. This might be confuse them. So we need to be careful and understand how students think about translation and about get the meaning and then answer the questions. This actually need to be considered by English teachers to select the right like words or grammar or language, as you know, and you are the expert, Dr. Richa, in this area. Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor. So in the last session, we discussed about test validity. So a test which our students cannot understand and get a bad grade because we are testing them on language and not on content. For example, a physics paper is worded in such a way that student cannot understand, then the test is not valid because it's testing language, it's not testing content. Okay, so thank you so much for that, for your feedback on that. I think we are running out of time, so we will not watch this video. This video is related to how to reduce the extrinsic load, how to make our assessments easy for English language learners. So I think you can watch this video later on when you have the time. We'll move on to solutions for assessing ELLs. So what are the solutions? How can we design assessments for English language learners? So we have a few points here. So the most important point is we need to create different types of assessments. This was a question, Professor, one of our participants asked, and here is the answer. So for differentiation and for you being fair and inclusive, what we need to do is we need to have different types of assessments. So 20% marks for this, 20% marks for that. And these various types of assessments would include all the different types of students. And especially when we are talking about ELLs, we have to focus more on formative assessments, on helping them learn through assessments rather than passing judgments. So informal and formal, formative and summative, we need to have both. We need to give them opportunities to assess themselves and to evaluate their peers, because they learn a lot through that and they develop the confidence that is required. Then we need to provide them opportunities for being tested at different times of the day. I think this is very important, because most of my students at 9 o'clock are sleepy. I give them a test at 9 o'clock, they are not ready. Their brains are already sleepy, and then you give them an assessment in English language. They don't know the language properly, they're struggling. So it becomes even more difficult for them. So I think Professor Ghanem mentioned a point here that we need to give some flexibility and some voice, some say to our students in how they want to be assessed. So I think this is one way of including them in making decisions about their assessment process. So when they want to be tested. Yes, Professor.
Yes, one more point actually to support your idea about allowing students to be self, and to one of the excellent system I read about in Denmark, actually, they give what we call students ability or being able to control their, which is means that they are free to choose and decide when they are ready to do the assessment and the exam.
That's amazing.
The system overall, by the way, and we'll talk more about the houses can being able to control their assessment. This will be actually help them to, as you mentioned, if they are asleep or tired or whatever their circumstances, they can do the best, because by the end we want them again to learn, not just to get scored. This is another important point. Teachers face as a challenge.
That's very interesting. That's a very interesting point, Professor. Thank you for that. So definitely we want our students to have a say, and we can do that by testing them when they are ready at different times of day. We can create a modified assessment which is easier for them to understand. We need to focus more on process. We watched those videos on project-based learning and authentic assessment, how Ben focused more on process rather than product. We have to provide our students with rubrics and checklists which are easy to understand, so that they know what we expect of them. Where do they have to, which point they have to reach, where they have to go, So all these ways can help our students develop as learners. We have to track their development through a variety of assessments. And the last point I think is very important here, which is creating a shared vision of learning. So as teachers, administrators, parents, students, everyone, the whole community should have a common vision of what we want our students to achieve. Where do we want them to arrive? So this vision would help us create good assessments which are relevant for our English language learners. Would you like to add something, Professor?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Richa, for this important point. And this is aligned with what would good assessment look like, as you mentioned. In conclusion, all these solutions will help to come with good assessment, effective assessment, lead, without participating and engage all the stakeholders. And this is a big challenge. We are now in the era of seeing that the community, the parents, the other stakeholders participate in designing the assessment. And I have a lot of examples about this. For example, when we move to or toward decentralization or independent schools, I believe that in our countries, we need this step, we need this approach in order to give more chance to all stakeholders participate in designing the assessment approach, not like a questions. This is, as you mentioned, support that all participate in the vision of learning, and they will be able to know what we expect for our students in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. This takes us to our next point. Now, we promised that we are going to discuss challenges related to students and challenges related to teachers. So now we are going to move on to challenges related to teachers. What
Mhm.
are the most common challenges we as teachers face when we assess our students? So we would
Yes.
like to hear from you to see what kind of
Yes.
challenges you face.
Yes. What you face when you prepare the assessment. Okay, guys. Okay.
Okay. High
Yes.
expectations. We have high
Yes.
expectations.
Good point.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Excuses. Yes. Again. Good point.
Yeah.
Actually, it is a big challenge. We even face it in university, right? Funds. Funds very important, especially when we talk
School
about decentralization, give more autonomy to the schools. Yes, school flexibility and flexibility. Yes, true. Differentiates. Yes, agree with you. Yes.
Tight schedules. Lack of
Yes.
time.
Yes, great.
Okay, time management.
Yes.
High expectations is still the biggest. So we have high expectations of our students, is it? Which students cannot
Yes.
meet sometimes.
Yes, actually,
Pressure.
high expectations may comes from the parents, by the way. Reflect on children, students, and add more stress. They expect from them to get like high scores, right? And this is actually considered like a challenge for teachers. I may find excuse for many teachers that they make their exam very easy in order to match the expectations of the family. This is by itself big challenge. Yes.
I like the way Professor Time Management is catching up and it's getting bigger. So many of our participants are thinking in terms of time, like how to manage time.
I agree with you. This is
so
challenge. Also, teachers nowadays, especially in our schools, they don't have enough time to prepare or to select, to design. But I think there is one good example. By collaboration, by teamwork in the schools, I think teachers can meet and can find quick solutions to make their exam more good and well designed. This is might be a little bit control the time if this work. Yeah.
Thank you. This takes us to our next point, and let us look at this quote by Sarah Davis, Director of Education Innovation at University of Bristol. Assessment is a massive driver of everybody's workload. It's almost the beast everyone has to serve. So we are talking about feedback. We are talking about grading and rating our students' work. This is one of the biggest challenges for teachers. But on the other hand, it is our responsibility to grade and to give feedback, because this is something, feedback is something which is valued by our students a lot, and it's very important for their growth as learners. So imagine this is the case. What will you do in this case? I'll read it out for you, and I would like to hear from you. You feel sick and you're worried that it might be serious. So you go to the nearby health clinic. After looking over your chart, the doctor performs just 2 tests, measuring your blood pressure and taking your pulse, and then brings you back to the lobby. It turns out that at this clinic, the policy is to check patients' vital signs and only their vital signs, prescribing all treatments based on this information alone. It would be prohibitively expensive, the doctor explained, to conduct a more thorough examination. So would you tell us what would you do in this situation? You feel sick and only you are given medication based on your pulse and blood pressure. What would you do?
Yes. What do you think, guys? Tell us.
Anyone who would like to speak, you can raise your hand to speak, please.
Yes, please. I see here some hands. Okay, Mr. Patrick, please.
Okay, we have one hand, Ms. Nida. She raised her hand earlier as well. So
please go ahead.
Good afternoon, all.
Good
I
afternoon.
changed the doctor, the hospital. I changed it immediately because
very good.
They aren't checking properly.
Thank you, Ms. Nida. Obviously, this is what we are going to do. We are going to change the hospital, look for some other healthcare provider.
Yes, because this is what happens with the teaching learning process. It's a process. It's not a job to do it and it's fine. Stop here. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Nida. Yes, one more participant. Yes, see more hands. If possible, Dr. Richa.
I think we are running out of time, Professor.
Yeah, hi.
Hi,
Only
Ms.
one,
Mofa
only
there.
one quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's only me.
yeah.
I guess
We know you.
I leave right
Yeah.
away, and I'm not gonna get back to that area again and to that health center again, because they don't care about, they don't put passion, they don't care about the patients. Same applies on schools. If the parents are not satisfied, they'll take out their kids, right?
Exactly.
So this is applies even in universities, every single place. If students cannot find care, right away they leave.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Wafa. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Richa.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Thank you, Ms. Wafa, Ms. Nida. So here by testing, what we mean is testing and giving feedback. So if we don't give feedback, relevant feedback, then we are not treating the ailment in the right manner, which takes us to feedback. Now, most of you said that feedback is also difficult because it's time taking. So it's important for us to understand how we can make our feedback efficient. We'll move on to the next slide because we are running out of time. So there's this video, which is about,
I think,
yeah, we'll play this video. It's very important. This video tells us how we can give our feedback quickly and efficiently. We have to give feedback, but how we can make it efficient. So
yes.
So we are talking about assessments, we are talking about feedback, and now we'll see how we can take help of technology to give feedback quickly. So we are talking about the third principle, which is appropriately automated assessment. We have been using automated marking for multiple choice questions, and we would love to have automated marking for essay type questions as well. Well, we do not have something as of now which is perfect, but we can use AI tutor grammar and style tool to do the grammar check for us so that we can save our time to focus on content and learning. There's something which is called adaptive comparative judgment. What it does, it ranks all the essays 1 to 50 in ranks. So once the essays are organized like that, it becomes easier for the rater to grade. So this kind of automated assessment helps not only the graders, not only the raters, but also the students, because they get feedback faster and more detailed feedback they get.
Yes.
So this takes us to the next point. Professor mentioned it earlier. What do you say? Should students have control over how they are assessed? Yes or no? Yes. All of you say yes. 3 quarters, 7, 30. Okay, all of them say yes. They should have some say.
Great.
One person says no. Okay, that's interesting. Well, in some cases, yes, we don't need to give them that kind of liberty, but with adult learners, I think we can be more flexible. And for example, English language learners, we talked about, we need to give them the flexibility to choose the time when they'd like to be assessed. 5 say no. That's okay. Professor, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, I think this is part of, again, the policies and regulation. I also remember that in many countries, they already publish some regulations, allow students to control and to be aware about what they are going to do in the assessment. Control assessment doesn't mean that they can, for example, write the questions or correct themselves, but for sure they can. Why not? The idea that simply we need to create culture, learning community. Again, as I mentioned, all stakeholders should participate in designing the system. Policy makers, they need to understand that we cannot separate between life and outcomes, learning outcomes, and the schooling system. All should work together. Then we can say that, yes, we allow students and other stakeholders to control. Control means that to monitor and sustain, maintain, improve the assessment to make it fun and to improve our life and learning. This is simply the way to allow all feel that they control in operational meaning. Thank you, Dr. Rich.
Thank you, Professor. Let us move on. We have, I think, 20 minutes left, and we have to look at two principles. So this is principle 4, which is continuous assessment. Now, we know that the requirements of workplace are changing constantly due to transformational technologies. So the requirements are changing. To meet these changing requirements, we cannot have a fixed form of assessment. Now, if we have a lot of focus on several summative assessments or judgmental assessments, like, you know, in the final month of the term, there are too many assessments that bunch together and our students are stressed. They're not happy. They're stressed, they are demotivated, and they start writing to match the rubric. They don't care about creativity. They don't care about doing something new. All they care about is marks and how to match the rubric. So it has the washback of that kind of testing is detrimental, and it's not at all relevant, especially in times where we need our learners to be lifelong learners. We need them to follow a path of independent, self-directed lifelong learning where they can teach themselves new skills. And this can happen only if our assessment pattern is continuous rather than summative. So we need to focus more on formative assessments. We need to focus more on feedback, and probably we should allow our students to get tested when they are ready rather than bunching all the assessment together and putting them under unnecessary pressure. So, Professor, would you like to comment on this?
I think this is fair enough in order to be careful about the time. So we can move to principle 5, which is very important principle.
Okay. So before that, let's have a quick look at the role of technology in providing continuous assessment to our learners. So it's difficult. Assessment is challenging. It's time consuming, but we can definitely take help from technology in doing that. So technology can actually offer personalized formative assessment. How? So there are several apps which measure study-related behavior. Like we have apps telling us about our screen time. So there are several apps which measure study-related behavior. They compare the data of one student with other student and provides feedback to you about your study behavior. So you can use that kind of app to manage your own learning process. Then it's a possibility which researchers are exploring. It's not yet out there, but they're exploring the possibility of amalgamating artificial intelligence with learning analytics data to adaptively guide students through the learning content. So adaptively, the students will say, okay, today do quiz 1, tomorrow do quiz 10. Adaptively as per the needs of the learners. And this could also study student motivation, student comprehension, and based on their motivation level, based on their level of comprehension, AI can tailor content for them. So this is one affordance of technology that we are looking forward to, and we really hope that it works. So this is a role of technology in providing continuous assessment, but there are several logistical challenges that we have to think about. Okay, let's move on to one challenge which we haven't covered so far. So I'm going to play that clip for 5 seconds and you tell me which challenge we haven't covered related to teachers in the field of assessment. So quickly, we are going to go to this video which talks about the new normal and what happens in this new normal. So we'll go here.
2 more seconds,
58 seconds, which I'm not able to go somehow, and I want to. Okay, let me see if I can go.
Have you ever wondered how assessment will change under the new normal? Let's find out together in this video. Before we go to that, don't forget to subscribe and share this video to your friends. This video comes with a free PowerPoint presentation that you can share with your friends, to your parents, and to your school. Just subscribe and fill in the link found in the video description of the video. In the new normal, the usual approach in assessment will drastically change. The usual.
Okay, we need to move on. Sorry. We
Yes.
need to move on, Professor. I don't think we should be playing this video, and
okay, actually,
we don't have the time.
important
So we'll,
challenge if you like to add here. Okay, cheating.
cheating. Yes.
Yes.
It is cheating. Thank you, Professor, for giving us the answer and for telling us what the video wanted to tell us. So it mentioned that we don't know whether our students are cheating or not. There's no way to ascertain that. Now, this leads us to our last principle, last and fifth principle, which is secure assessment for the future of assessments for 2030. Why is this important? Not only because of social distancing, but also because handwritten exams are not authentic. When I ask my students to write essays by hand, they tell me, well, we are not used to, we are used to typing, we'd never be doing this. So this is not authentic, right? And also it's logistically challenging in present times to have handwritten exams. So digital exams are authentic, but they are less secure. There are security issues like students. There are increases in cases of contract cheating where there's a contract between student and some other party to write their exams for them. We all know there are essay mills around which create and sell essays, online essay writing services. So these are the challenges. These are challenges related to teachers, how we can minimize cases of cheating. So that's important. Now, technology has a role to play, though limited. We have been using biometric authentication. So if you go to test centers, they'll check your fingerprints, they can check your retina to check whether it's the same person taking the exam. We have remote proctoring tools, which we have been using for the last 1 year, like Respondus Lockdown. We have several other remote proctoring tools like Examity, Proctor Exam, Proctor, etc. We have a plagiarism, Dear Plagiarism Detection software, Turnitin, which we use to check whether it's original content or not. Additionally, we have some authoring detection, like if I type, the keyboard will save the keystroke dynamics and will compare it with my next work that I submit to see whether these two works are submitted by the same person. So this is one thing that could be used. Then we have educational data forensics, which look for unusual response pattern. For example, a student does not type anything for 1 hour, and in the last 30 minutes, the student types a lot. Okay, so that tells that probably something wrong is happening there. So these affordances are there, but they are limited because there are some privacy issues. There are also certain other limitations of using technology. I think what is important in these cases is, first of all, we develop students' judgment. We tell them, we make them aware about the ethical issues and the importance of taking exams in an ethical manner. But it would work only if we understand what is the pressure that our students face and what are the challenges they face. Unless we develop that understanding, we'll not get them to understand what we are saying. Professor, your feedback.
Yes, thank you. This is very interesting. And let me just in conclusion mention 3 important facts here. Number 1, if we focus on building the trust between us and our students, we can avoid cheating, we can avoid any missing things or negative impacts or influence the assessment in our students. Building trust, love relationship between you and your students, the exam or the test becomes something, again, easy and considered like a part of the learning. Number 2, when we design our assessment, we should not think that we are challenging our students. Let us challenging ourselves to be accountable about what we teach, because by the end we want to be happy and again accept what we prepare and teach to our students. So don't challenge them. Challenge yourself by preparing the right the comfortable, the suitable, and the most aligned questions or projects or tasks to your students. Number 3, understand the cultural background of your students. This will make it easy for you. In my mind, a lot of memories, by the way, about what problems we face when we in the high school long time ago, and how much our parents and family put pressure on our head, and then we go and fight our teachers. This is something we all remember, at least my generation, and it caused a lot and lead to many conflicts between school and the students and teachers all. So don't challenge your students, challenge yourself. Number 1, build trust relationship and love friendly relation with your students. You can finish from the phobia called assessment or exams. Thank you. Dr. Richa.
Thank you for these words of wisdom, Professor. It's very important. I think sometimes when we talk about these technological issues and big things, we forget the basics. So it's very important for us to develop a rapport with our students where they can express what they are facing, and we can tell them what we expect. So we can tell them that we'll give you a lot, but we'll expect a lot in return. So that kind of give and take needs to happen. Thank you so much for that. I think we are on time so far. We have 10 minutes more, and we rushed up a bit. So we are already on our last slide. So probably we'll have 5 minutes to hear from our participants about their views.
Yes, I agree with you. Yes, these are just summarized to our colleagues here, these different principles, put them in your mind and answering yourself how I can again make my assessment good. Remember, the purpose is vocational assessment, not information assessment. I mean by vocational is to serve our students to be aware about what's going around them in the real life, to be able to match their knowledge, ideas, skills in the real life, and to respond to the market needs, preparing them for the future. So assessment for future. So we, in conclusion, have to change our style, way in designing our assessment and types of assessment. Thank you, Dr. Richa.
Thank you, Professor. So to summarize, we looked at challenges related to students and teachers. In the last session, we looked at challenges related to the task itself. And we reviewed the 5 principles for future assessments: authentic assessment, accessible assessment, appropriately automated assessment, continuous assessment, and secure assessment. So that is it. And if you have any questions, we'd be very happy to answer. Or if you have any comments or experiences to share, this is the time.
Please, we have around 5 minutes, so we're able to hear from colleagues here if they have any concerns or feedback or reflection. We have 5 minutes, right?
If you'd like to share your experiences, we have Ms. Wafa here.
Yes, please, Ms. Wafa, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's a comment on the reflection on the 5 modules. It's unbelievable. You have to write a lot. The reflection is kind of hard, like the IB. I have taken the training. So guys, make it easy for us so we can take the certificate.
No, you will get it, Ms. Wafa, don't worry.
Actually, it's kind of hard. I had to go back to all the slides and watch them again so I can fill up whatever reflection is required from me. So it's hard, guys. Wallah.
Believe us, the aim is not to judge.
Yes.
Are you sure? That's good.
Yes, sure.
Okay, good. Thank you,
Ms. Wafa.
So relax, guys, relax.
You still have to do your best.
Of course, I know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm enjoying the sessions. I really enjoy you. It's very useful, very beneficial. We learned a lot from you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wafa. Okay, one more comment, please.
Ms. Amina is there?
Yes, please.
Mr. Patrick, can you please unmute Ms. Amina?
Yes, can I start?
Yes,
yes,
please.
Ms. Amina.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was really great and helpful. My question is about grade 1 assessment. Actually, in grade 1 and 2, we have the continuous assessment. But my question is, are we supposed to inform the parents before we start giving the test or the exam to the students? Is it more professional to tell parents that tomorrow we'll have a quiz, or we just give them the quiz according to our learning? Through the week or these days?
Professor, would you like to? I feel
Yes.
Ms. Amina. Yeah. Yes, Professor.
Yes, actually, yes. This is what I meant by allowing and involve parents and community, maybe not in the details, but at least to prepare them psychologically that we have this kind of assessment or examination, etc. This will lead actually to minimize the stress, number one. Number two, also we can receive feedback from the students and from their parents. Number three, we can avoid what you mentioned, Dr. Richard, too, which is the excuses, and colleagues, they mentioned to this point as one of the big challenges. We have also here one question from one participant about how we can assessment for students having dyslexia. This is actually a big subject, and I believe that those having dyslexia also, they need actually to be considered from teachers. But by the way, this is a big issue and big subject, but simply I can say that those having dyslexia, they read and write and having or dealing with these letters or words in their own way. We need to design the assessment based on their way of reading, okay? Not like others, because they read in their own way, I mean, as their brain consider, recognize the words, etc. I can give more, but I will answer this in the chat and send details. Also, we have Dr. Mohammed Fatiha, expert in special education, and he can also answer this question in sending some information to support respected teachers, because I believe myself this is very important also to consider as a part of differentiation and considering those special cases. Thank you for this question. Very
Excuse
important.
Excuse me.
Ms. Salwa, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on these sessions. They are very great, but I would like to add something. We'd like to talk about the metacognitive skills that the students lack actually in our schools. If you want them to be participants and to be partners in the assessment process and even in the learning process, we have to sharpen the skills of metacognition. They should be able to reflect on their own teaching. And I think this was in the math example of the teacher who was assessing the students' learning. So he wanted them to reflect on their own learning, to reflect on their improvement. They have to, in the portfolio as well, they have at the beginning of the year or each unit, they have to write the points of weakness and the points that need improvement. Unless they become partners in the process of learning and assessment, I think we lack a lot. We have to work on these metacognitive skills in our schools to improve the students' awareness of their learning. Otherwise, it would be useless if we give them exams and we teach them and they are unaware of what's going on and why they are learning, the purpose of learning, how to assess, how to observe, how to value their progress. I think it would be a lost aspect of the process as a whole.
Thank you, Ms. Salwa, for valid points. I have here also a question about can we use pass-fail instead of or versus a numeric assessment? Okay, this is also need a long answer, but yes, we can simply, but we need also to think about the standard and the criteria.
The diagnosis aspect.
Decide what is passing, what is not. So this is another important issue. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Richa, I think the last minute maybe.
Thank you, Professor. Yes, these are all very, very interesting comments. Regarding Ms. Salwa's comment about developing autonomy in our students, yes, it's very important because many a time students don't know why they got a certain grade, so they don't know how to improve, what to change. So it's very important, which is why we talked about feedback, we talked about rubrics, we talked about peer and self-assessment. So developing critical ability is very important. It's also one of the 21st century skills. So thank you so much, Ms. Salwa and all the other participants for your valuable feedback. I think it is 6:29.
It's the time. Yes, I think it's the time to invite our Dean, Dr. Srithi, Dr. Muhammad Fatiha, and Dr. Daniela, Dr. Reem.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ghanem, and Dr. Richa for informative presentation and the engaged one. And the last was the misk, as we said always in Arabic. So it was really great, and it was engaged and effective session. And I hope our colleagues, teachers, principals, HODs, they benefit from those sessions. Our coming 30 minutes will be mainly for you, our attendees, so you can ask questions for Dr. Srithi Nair Awandim, for Dr. Reem, for Dr. Richa, for Dr. Ghanem, for Dr. Daniela, and for Ms. Rubina about the topics that they present. But before that, just allow me to thank first our campus director, Dr. Hamad Al-Udabi, for his support and involvement from the beginning in the training program. And also allow me to thank our beloved IT team, Ms. Rina and Patrick and Omar, for their great support during this journey. They did a great and amazing job with all of you. And also thanks for our marketing department and Mr. Anand. I will not forget him because he was the connection between us and you. So he did a great job. So thanks for all. And Dr. Srithi, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatiha. And I can see that we have got still a large group of participants who are with us. And I'm happy to be back. I'm excited about what has been going on and the comments and the review and the feedback. So I have been keeping a watch on what you have given as great inputs. I would like to start with something today, which is like, you know, as I was listening to the closure statements and the comments from some of you, and Professor Ghanem and Dr. Richa were trying to respond to you to that. What is interesting about the learning and teaching journey is that it is a never-ending, ongoing, continuous, developmental, explorative, adaptive, get me all the adjectives we can put it together under teaching and learning. So we may like to have professional development trainings, we may like to have webinars, we may like to have seminars, but the topic is so huge and we can add a lot to that. Having said that, this was just a capturing of ideas that we thought would help in the given situation where we are trying to refresh our thoughts, refresh our memories, refresh some ideas. Many of you would be excellent and experts in that field, just to help each other trying to refresh our memories. That's the primary thing to it. A lot of you gave feedback and we are planning to take those feedbacks and to see how Abu Dhabi University can really support and help as much as possible in building more modules and building more supportive elements in the form of seminars or symposiums or target specific things and come back to you and give back to the community, which is our teachers community. So answering to one of the questions that you just raised about dyslexia, if you ask me and Dr. Fatiha, we would say that that alone can take a complete days of workshop and symposium to support a regular class teacher and a class an educationist to see how we are able to manage a classrooms. You know, gone is the time when we say that this is a job of a special educator. No. It is everybody's responsibility, which includes parents and teachers, a regular teacher, to manage such situations. And it's becoming a common phenomenon that students pick up certain lacking in certain areas because of the kind of development they go through. So we are taking all these things as notes, and we will be coming back and trying to do our best to support and engage in conversations for future also. So I would say that it was a give and take experience for Abu Dhabi University and the Department of Education. My team is here. I'm proud of the team. They had done a wonderful job. I know They have all given you tasks to do. Don't get overly stressed about it. The purpose is, it's just like when we do a certification and when we are trying to look for something very effective, we just want your feedback and to put some effort into that and give feedback. We are not going to grade you from 1 to 10, how much did you grade, nothing of that sort, but just want to make sure that this time and the quality of time you spend with us is concluding in a very effective manner. So please don't hesitate. You have time till February, if I'm not mistaken.
7th.
Yeah. So some of you have asked saying that 2 modules look alike. Can we give answer to one and that will be enough? I think giving that reflection in that manner and putting it separately will be, because each one of us here will be engaged in our own area of things and giving your feedback. So primarily focus on the feedback. And even if you were not able to complete or we find any lacking, we are giving opportunity to resubmit so that you get a completion certificate from Abu Dhabi University. So I think it will be time well spent on your side. So please, I would encourage you to definitely participate in that. Having said that, today my responsibility for the next 30 minutes is not just me going on speaking. I have my valued colleagues with me who are here to give you responses. And if you have any questions, they are here to answer. So you have already met them, you know who is who, and any questions in their specific area, they will be happy to answer. And it's also generic. If you have any questions in generic area, please do ask us and we will be happy to support. I give you assurance, 2 things we have already decided. Between me and Dr. Fatiha, we had some conversations on that. We will conduct some Arabic language specific seminars or symposiums instead of a complete professional certification. We are planning to do something soon for Arabic language and also for early education. So all those first grade, all those things for which is becoming a key challenge in this online distance education format. We will build something around that and we'll be coming back to you soon on that. And please take the opportunity to come back and work with it. Then there are some kind of work that we do in teaching and learning, which is purely workshop based, and it can be focused group. It has to be small group where we engage, and that becomes very challenging in this environment. But given the fact when we go back face to face, EDU will be open for such kind of work. So the room is yours. Please put your questions on chat or question answers, or you can raise your hand and ask questions. We are up for questions for the next 10 minutes, and then I'll go back and conclude the sessions.
Dr. Fiti, just if you allow me to comment on the certificate, because there is like a lot of questions about what is the deadline to receive the certificate. The deadline for submitting the reflections will be 7th of February for all participants and for the all modules. And after that, we will give like 1 week for our speakers to go through the reflections. And if there is a need for resubmitting the reflection again, after 15th of February, you will start receiving your certificate, inshallah, both the attendance and the completion certificate for the one who choose to go with the reflection and answer those reflections.
Yeah. There is a very interesting question in the chat where people they are asking what kind of assessment are we using. Don't worry, we are just giving you feedback. And if you have come up excellently, very good, whatever it is, we will give you your feedback. So there is no ranking system that we are following. But if we see that the reflection is pretty thin and it needs more input and we really need some more input from you, we will definitely come back and give you the opportunity to resubmit and say that kindly work on this one. So we are not rating you from 1 to 10, as I already assured you. But we don't get anything for free. It is, you need to earn it. And this is where we are asking you to earn it by completing, and that will be really great for us to know also what kind of thought process you went through. So please do participate in that. And it will not take much time. Just spend a little bit of hours, kind of take it as an experience for yourself, and it will be great.
Can I add something for the reflection? I thank you, Dr. Srithi. I usually, when I start my classes with my students, I start with two facts. Number one, that you guys all pass. It is in your hand. It is in your responsibility. Number two, I keep telling them that I learn from you. So I want you guys to consider that reflection will add even to us knowledge, experience, because again, we learn from each other's. This is the best to do in order to improve education and learning. So your reflection will be highly appreciated, not only for the certificate, just to show and to share, and even to celebrate with your achievements and your outcomes. Thank you.
I just wanted to add, if you don't mind, I wanted to add to what Professor Ghanem was saying. I started reading some of the reflections in my module today and actually learned about a model, instruction model that I already knew, but not as a face-to-face model. I thought it was just out there for online learning. So it was a learning moment for me as well. So I totally agree with Professor Ghanem. We're learning from you too. Thank you for that. I think we have Ms. Wafa.
Ms. Wafa is here. I think she raised her hand.
Hi.
Yeah. You are
Hi.
unmuted, Ms. Wafa. Go ahead, please.
First of all, thank you so much for those wonderful modules. The five of them, and they were so good and very supportive. My question is, do you have any plans to do some modules for the students themselves, especially the seniors? We used to do that before face-to-face. We used to send our students to the university, but is it possible to do that for the students too?
Yes, so this is giving us a great idea. We have some already existing modules that we are doing in generic for high school students and so on. But if you think you are looking for something specific and your target audience is your school alone and you know the nature of your school, please do let us know. Dr. Fatiha will be the right person to contact, and we can definitely work around that direction. That should not be difficult. You're absolutely right. When we were face to face, we were doing it for LA separately, Abu Dhabi separately. It is doable. It's not difficult at all.
Yeah.
But
because
you know,
as everybody knows that the students are now online studying, and EDU is the most targeted university now. Let us say 20% of my students, they go to EDU, especially the girls. So because it's still in Abu Dhabi, parents they want to send them to Dubai or the other Emirates, or even outside the country. So the thing is, it's good to have such modules. Show them what do you have, guys. And usually you used to do that. And I'm in contact with Ms. Sarah, one of your admission, I don't know. So she always asks for. We're ready, guys, to have kind of modules for our students, or kind of presentation from one of you, just to show them whatever you have.
Yeah, Ms. Wafa, I can assure you that we can take it from different perspective. Plus, you know, if it is for a skill building approach, you can do let us know. If it is for career guidance, specifically, do let us know. So it is based on need that we will cater to it, because moving away from generic to need is more important in the given COVID situation. In the online, you know, we don't want to do generic and then students will not be interested and they can just click and leave the session. So we would rather do that. This is also you are taking it up from your perspective, but I'm open to all the school faculty who are here. We are always ready to accommodate that. So please do let us know. No issues.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
And Ms. Wafa, if I could add something as well, we are currently also offering a lot of what we call investing in the community workshops, and some of them are actually addressed to high school students, for example. One of them we did recently was, for example, about how to be better prepared for academic writing and presentation so that they feel more comfortable and confident about embracing English medium instruction in higher education. And we did that, actually, it was delivered by me. That's why I'm so sure about what I'm saying. It was delivered by me with actually a student from Abu Dhabi University. And it generated a lot of interesting questions from high school students who wanted to know, okay, what is life like as a student in college and university? What should I do to improve my academic writing skills? So yes, there are quite a few workshops already happening and being offered. I think that probably checking the website and social media, I guess that some of those will pop up for sure. And it will be a pleasure to have your students with us too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll be delighted to enlighten my students way to just follow your website, and they can find a lot of things. And I may like Zoom meeting with the students, and I'll see what to do.
Yeah.
Again, Ms. Wafa, as Dr. Sriti mentioned, if you are looking for a specific program or specific training for your students in the school, in your school, we are ready also. We are happy to support in this.
Yeah, perfect. You're always very supportive. You always like visit schools and as a counselor to our school. So yes, I know most of your representatives. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, so let's agree on something today is that we have already listed till the end of this academic year up to July. We have a lot of series happening already. So what we will do is we will send out the link to all the participants who participated with us, because you're all school teachers or in some form linked to education. You can use this link and see if something fits for you already, because it's already there and we are delivering it. You can attend that, register and attend it. Outside that, if you need anything specific that you're specifically looking for, particularly your school or for in general, we get a feedback, we will be willing to definitely reflect on that. So as Dr. Daniela rightly said, we are doing a lot. Thursdays are the days when we, particularly College of Arts and Sciences, engaged in a lot of activities. So beyond that, even other colleges are doing in engineering, business. So we'll send you the entire link, so that will be easy for you to follow instead of you keeping on looking for things.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Perfect.
Thank you.
Just again, Dr. Sriti, allow me, there's a question about the submission of the reflections. I will re-say it or explain it to our colleagues. Just when you enter to the EDU community portal, you will go to the education or EDU Future of Education series C1, and under those module, at the last part of module, you find reflection 1, reflection 2, reflection 3, reflection 4, reflection 5. When you enter to the reflection, you can download the task, answer it, and then re-upload it, because you will find a place where you to submit your answer, or I think you can type it. So you can use both options, and then go to the second and third and fourth and fifth one. Again, as Dr. Sriti mentioned, there's no right and wrong with that. It's just a reflection, but we need you to be engaged with such activity to get the reflection certificate.
There is another question about when is the deadline. Again, as Dr. Muhammad mentioned, 7 February, the deadline to submit your reflections. Right, Dr. Muhammad?
Yeah, 7th February is the, if there is a need for resubmission, you will receive a message for resubmission, and we'll give you 1 week additional, which is 15th. And after 15th, the certificates will be released, inshallah.
So mostly everybody is asking about the reflection paper and so on. So we will also try to see that we are.
We have Ms. Hasmik.
Hasmik.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, so I just wanted to thank everyone, all the doctors and professors who ran all these sessions. It was great. And especially dear Dr. Daniela, thanks to her, I learned about this opportunity and participated from Finland. So thank you so much. And I'm sure I have learned a lot, and I'll try to do my best to write the reflections. So many greetings from snowy Finland to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear Hasmik.
Great, thank you, Hasmi.
So hoping that it was very productive, a week, more than a week we spent together. It's good to know all of you. Since there is no more questions and most of you are asking questions related to the reflection, again and again, is there any format for the reflection? No, there is no form. It's simple. It's just simple. We are just asking you to look at what is given to you. You need to reflect on it based on the module that you attended and just submit. In some cases, we are asking you 100 words. In some cases, we are asking you 150 words, not more than that. So it's just a simple task. So I know it is coming back again and again, but please don't hesitate to ask even if you still have any questions related to that. But do separate each module from one another. Maybe my question that I put forward is similar to that Dr. Daniela would have asked, but both are looking at our reflection separately. We are not mixing everything into one package. So please, and also very clearly, if you where you left out all the modules and you decided, okay, I'm going to do reflection for only 2 modules, you will get a completion certificate for that 2 modules and you'll get participation certificate for rest of the modules that you attended. So that's why we are trying to give you a completion certification for the entire program after you have done the whole package. So that's why please take care of that. So there are different options we are trying to put forward. Oh, I can see a lovely cat there.
Yeah, there's Miss Lovina with her cat.
Yes. He is actually my cat. His name is Benedict, by the way. Yeah, so my question is to Dr. Richa. Sorry, not Dr. Richa, Dr. Sridhi. I'm very sorry. First of all, thank you all of the doctors and the professors. I really enjoyed all the sessions. Dr. Sridhi, my question to you is this. We've been going through these training sessions now, and we have actually been through quite a lot of, I would say, radical ways of looking at teaching and learning. Because come what may, most of us are still practicing traditional approaches towards teaching and learning. And the way I'm looking at your sessions and everything which was spoken by the professors who took the lessons, I have this feeling that we are trying to bridge a gap in this process of teaching and learning, wherein when we are sending our students to your universities, in the university, we all know that the way they learn is going to be very different. And what I have observed is we are trying to bridge that gap. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Okay, so to answer your question in 2 parts. Number 1 is the whole forum is focusing for the future of education. So if you see, we have titled it as EDU2030. And EDU2030 is round the corner. So in my module where I presented that the whole way the world is looking at things and future jobs and the basic skills that we are assuming that's true, that job seekers will have in future is entirely different from what is happening today. And the way things are changing is drastic and very swiftly. So the question here is that, are we ready to get there? And if we need to get there, we need to start from now. And we need to start engaging from school to university. So universities have started taking that step of building those changes and making sure that we are getting the future job. We are getting the students ready for future jobs. However, the question is that how much time can we spend in bridging the gap that we find from schools? So given scenarios, you can take it internationally, and if you start doing some real research in that area, where you start Googling and looking for information and so on, you will see that a lot of universities are working with K-12 schooling system to make sure that we are closing the gap as much as possible. So that's how things are. And you rightly observed it, and your thought is right. Yes, this is what we are looking for. Maybe it is from a very selfish kind of approach from a higher educationists that we really would love to have students come with those skills. However, these things cannot be built in students when they are 17 years of age, but rather it should be incorporated from them from this time they have decided that they're going to start going into schooling system and so on. And parents play a role here, teachers play a role here, education system plays a role here. So everything builds and comes in together. So that's the whole purpose of it.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just one
No,
point.
thank you, Lovina. Thanks a lot. Sorry, Dr. Adam, just there is some questions about first about the material itself that they will be able to download the PowerPoint presentation. We uploaded and you receive a link, I think, after each module. Indicate what we covered during this module, and you have specific reading materials to go through it. You can download this. You can go through the YouTube, also our channels, and check those information. But I'm not sure that the presentation, as a presentation, will be shared. We will later, at the end, we will share with you the information related to the whole certificate, and you will receive it soon, inshallah, like 1 week after we finish our preparation and working on that, with the link to each module to their video, so you can benefit from this information. There is several questions, Dr. Srithi, also about do we need more information more than our names? No, the name is fine for us, and we have your information when you register already, the email and the phone and all other information. Yes, you can use any code or case study, but be sure that to stuck with the number of words assigned to each reflection. Some of reflections, as Dr. Srithi mentioned, 100 word, 150, so it's not exceeding a big number.
But there is questions like, can you use quotations, and that's up to you. But please spend time like hours together and come up with a research paper on that, which is almost like 2,000, 3,000 words. That is not required. We are just asking you to reflect, and it will be good for us to know that you have got the points. And as Dr. Fatiha said, we have all the elements captured for you, and it will be shared with you. Nothing is secret. Everything is transparent for you to use for future purposes. Meanwhile, also to assure you that if you get the certification and due to any reason there's a mistake in that your name was not spelled, you are always free to come back and talk to us, and we will immediately make the corrections and send it back. Your email address that you used for registration is being used to communicate with you. So keep that in mind, because you'll be getting certifications also through that. So these are things that I know, technical questions, but because the module is finishing today, we are not closing the contact with you. We will be in touch with you until we deliver these certifications to you. So don't hesitate to ask questions. There was one particular question that was interesting for me to see, that is there any limited time for each question? No, all the modules are 7th February. So even the first module was long time back. The lowest time, the least time given is for the last module, because they only have 1 week. But everything we have captured for 7th February. Having said that, if you were not able to finish and you are asking for an extension, we don't have a tight schedule, but we are trying to close everything by February 15th, so that we are able to release the certification that can be used by you.
Yep. And there's another question about specific module, which is module 2, that maybe there is no word count, but if you don't find the word count, just answer it based on the questions. So it means that it's open. If there is a word count, it means that you should be limited to those the count. We have Ms. Saida, I think.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just want to take the chance to say a big thank you, send a big thank to everyone who was part of this great session. We learned a lot, and I just want to talk just for 30 seconds about the reflection. As you may see, all of us and all the participants, they have been talking about the reflection. They took them the past 30 minutes, just they are worried and they want to, like, it's like an extra burden. This is why we are going to talk about like the exams and the marks. So the main purpose of the students going to schools, not only the students, also their parents, is their final marks. So this is why I wish in the near future we are going to focus on skilled students more than how many they get in their marks, and just teach them like certain things, the new technology, how to be part of the world that we are living in, not only just finish, get a good grade, and after that they forget everything after they go home. So this is just talk about reflection, and thank you so much to all of you and for giving us the opportunity to be part of this session. You're
Thank
welcome.
you,
Thank you.
Saida. You got the point of assessment. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Saida. You are absolutely right. You said it rightly, that this is just to make sure that it's not about grading. It's about what did we get out of it. And it is again something that we will be wanting to know, that did we do what we have to do, and did you get your points? So that's it. So nothing more, nothing less. So it will be good. I know everybody is apprehensive because it's extra work on you, but please spend a little bit of time and it will be worth it. Thank you.
If I may add something here, Dr. Sriti, I think it depends on the way they approach the reflection that we asked for. They don't need to think of that as an assignment. This is a way to bridge the gap between what we presented here and what their own practice at school. We want to see how what we gave in our presentations is reflected in the practice that they have there. I was going through some of the submissions today, and really one of the best was the one that took me to what's happening in their school, and how she took the practices that we offered in our presentations, took them further into how to improve their practices at school. So I think this is the way to do it, just to be genuine about what's happening in their school and what they're doing and how they're going to benefit from what we offered them. And that's all. It's not really about assessment or giving them marks or grades. We'll feel satisfied if they just give us the impression that they've learned something from this one.
And by the end, it's a learning process, and take it from this perspective.
Yes, true.
Dr. Sriti.
Okay, I think we are coming to a closure of the whole thing. So I have a quick presentation for you, nothing but just to let you know that you remember in my first module where we discussed and we asked you for how do you want your future classrooms to look like. We got like around 50 different input from the participants, and we have captured a small video on that. But this is where we are trying to also say that if your idea can reflect into a classroom format, how effective it will be. The teacher will love the environment. The students will be engaged because you captured the ideas of students and gave back the room. So if it is a floating classroom, how wonderful it will be. So whatever you gave as an idea, we have put that. And so my presentation is going to be starting with that, because I promised you will come back with the video. And thanks to Ms. Dua, one of my creative faculty in the team, who takes everything, and you know what she keeps telling everyone, she's an Islamic culture teacher by her degree, but very talented in using technology, and she has used technology in Islamic culture and Arabic language classes, where students love the fact of not going through the traditional approach of classroom environment. So I'll do that, and I'll also be reflecting on what are the future series that we are continuing to have. So as part of the 2030 future series, education series, we have 5 different things coming up. One we finished today. There are rest coming up, specifically targeting specific group. If you fall in that category, please come. We will welcome you back. You will see more faces, more talented professors who will be attending and speaking to you. So we are here to support. So please don't hesitate to participate. It's all free professional development certification program we are planning for our community and for the good will of educationists. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. I hope you're able to see. Okay, so let's Start. Okay, so if you observe something, we have created a class environment with smart board, students having their own environment, and they are not sitting like facing the whole thing. And it's a collegiate environment where peer is discussing with one another. The teacher is a facilitator and trying to engage. It's kind of a Google approach, but I think this is where we are heading to. In future, even if we are on an online platform, we will have a platform where we will be engaging in different dimensions of the classroom. So thank you for sharing that idea. It was really good and effective for us to create that. Let's move to the next, sorry. Okay, so I just mentioned, we have just finished the first module, and thanks to everyone who participated and who had contributed. It was great support, and I appreciate all your efforts and looking forward to seeing you in further sessions. So thank you so much, all of you. So I'm moving on, and I hope there are no more questions in the module that we just finished. If you have any questions, I can still give you another 2 to 3 minutes. But if it is only with regard to the reflections that you have to ask, I'll give you the last 5 minutes towards that. So this is the module that we finished. So this is the ones that we have. If you have any questions, please, you may raise it, or I'll leave it for the last 5 minutes. Okay, so just let's move to the next one. So the next one coming up in April is the professional development certification for school leaders, primarily focusing on the leadership. And what we are talking here, or we'll be focusing in this certification, is strategies and operational dimensions. So this is for those leaders. And this doesn't mean that teachers who are planning to step into leadership roles do not do it. So please, I would encourage even for teachers who are willing to, or educationists who are planning to jump, move their career, or planning to get into leadership roles, you are always welcome to do that, do this session. So this is the next one coming up. Then we have one in June, specifically targeting school counselors, where we are focusing on different angles, just not career development, but overall, what are the different things that we are currently facing given the situation changing with COVID. So you will see already the modules are decided and designed. So please convey this to your colleagues or counselors in the school who are wanting to do this. And this is another one that we are focusing on. I have to also specify that this is one very important thing, because the change that is happening in the environment right now is very challenging for students, parents, and also teachers to deal with our kids and also teenagers. So this is also open for parents to attend. So we are not just limiting it to counselors, but this is specifically for counselors. But some parents would like to know what is happening. So you're also welcome to participate in this. The next one in September is purely for technology. And why did we choose September for this is when we return back to the next academic year, we will be in a very interesting scenario. And what the current vibe says is that with the vaccination drive and everything, at least in UAE, we will be kind of indulging in a face-to-face hybrid approach. So when the environment is shifting from purely face-to-face to an hybrid, we will need to refresh our memories and knowledge in the area. So that's why September is our target for us to do this, where we are going to be use of technology in hybrid education as a platform where we will be engaging in discussing all these things, all these topics. So we have 5 modules in the same manner. Now, let me just keep you informed that because you have to do reflection, please do not stop participating in this kind of certification program. Reflection is just a connection between what you heard, you listen to, and you're trying to take it to your mind and reproduce, bring it back. So please don't go back and start thinking that, oh my God, I have to do 4 reflection now, so I'm not going to go and do this certification. And the last one we are planning is in December, which is for special educators and inclusive education. And this is again something that I will request all teachers to participate, because inclusive education is not just for special educators. It is also for teachers who are dealing with classrooms and students on a day-to-day life process. So please make sure that you are participating in this also. So thank you, all of you. This was just a quick presentation from my side. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions. So I'll stop sharing.
Because there's a few questions about the link for those professional development certificate, Dr. Sriti. I will explain this. You will receive an email as you already registered with our portal, or it will be in our website and in EDU portal, and we will send an email to all schools in UAE when we announce those, before we announce those workshops, inshallah.
Okay. We don't want to overwhelm all of you with all this at the same go. So as time approaches, we will be releasing one by one. And of course, Dr. Fateh is absolutely right. You are in our database now, and you are part of EDU now because you have already participated. So you will be receiving it in advance, which will also be available in the website and the public forum. Just like you registered now, it will be available for larger community to register and enroll. So from my end, I have finished what I have to speak. I'm very delighted, and I'm happy that we could conduct something like this for the community and for all of you. And I'm overwhelmed and excited with the responses I've got, positive responses that I have got from all of you. Do not hesitate to be critical also. Please do tell us the areas that we need to correct and improve ourselves, because this is a learning process. As Dr. Daniela rightly said, we learn from one another. Your reflection gives us an understanding about what we need to do differently. So please do let us know that also. Nobody's going to take away your certification because you critiqued on us. So that I can assure you. Thank you, all of you, from my end. So if you have any further questions, next 5 minutes, we will leave it for you to ask if there is anything that is pressing for you to check with us. Thank you.
And Dr. Sriti, allow me to be selfish a little bit, and I will highlight the nice background behind you, indicating our 3 main programs at the Education Department, which is the Professional Postgraduate Diploma in Teaching in English, and Master of Education, Education and Leadership, and Master of Science in Special Education. We welcome you all to go through our website, check those programs, and benefit from them in the future. You are more than welcome, and we welcome you as our students at Abu Dhabi University.
There are some questions popping up on the Q&A, and it's primarily reflection related. So if anybody wants to pick up an answer, if it is related to your area, you are free to do that.
About, I don't know how to log in.
Yeah, no, you can go to Q&A and have a look. And there is a question that has come up. Are you going to notify the new seminars? Yes, we will notify. Not only this Education 2013, whatever we have captured from you as feedback, as I promised you, we'll be having some Arabic sessions, and we will be also doing for the early childhood areas. So we will be definitely sending that out.
There's a question about login in the portal, I think. Ms. Isra, appreciate if you can just reply to Mr. Anand with his email, and we will guide you how to enter to the portal and support you with this. Either Ms. Anand or Ms. Khulud, the same email that you received from us to enter to this Zoom link. There is a question. I did submit my reflections. How do I know that only these? If you receive anything from our side that you need to resubmit or to do additional things, you will know. Thank you, Tariq. Tariq is saying that after the modules, we have good information about 21st century education and the change being done. Thank you, Tariq, for your comments.
Okay, I think we can conclude now. So with the reflection questions, I can see there are still questions coming up. What we will do is we will create a quick process, how you need to do, what you need to do, just as a guideline, and send it to all of you as an email where you can review on and that review those steps and then do accordingly. Or you may also approach, as Dr. Fatiha said, to the email address that, and we will respond to you. So it should not be an issue. So don't get overwhelmed that, oh my God, my time is running out, I couldn't do it. So just take it easy, it will be fine. I need to also acknowledge the fact that EDU is continuing to do what we will be doing as community service. Whatever we tried to do in this first module is, if that helps you as and is behaving as a catalyst for you to think differently, please go ahead and start utilizing that. The challenge in front of you is that you are going back to a school system, which may be really difficult for you to make changes. But if the thought and the seed that we try to sow in you, that these are things that we are looking for future, and this is how schools should behave, you will be the first one who will take the lead and say that, oh, I have already learned this and I've started to apply in my classrooms. So hoping that we were able to do that and bring some indicators in your mind, I'm declaring this session and module completed, and this first certification program completed from our end. Now the completion comes from your end so that you will get your certificates. So thank you all of you, and special thanks to Dr. Daniela, Dr. Richa, Dr. Reem, Professor Ghanem. Ms. Rubina is not able to join us. Ms. Rubina also, and Dr. Fatiha for being the support in all these things. And yet again, no more words from my side. I'm happy to see you all, and thank you all of you.